The farm we inherited from our grandfather turned into a complete nightmare for us. Every time I tell this story, I still get goosebumps. My hair stands on end, and I tremble. My name is Sarah, and I am 24 years old. 2 years ago, my husband Mark and I decided to get married. Mark is 28 years old. I was working as a chef in a restaurant, and my husband was working as an accountant in a company. Our life was progressing normally. A year ago, my husband's grandfather passed away. We went to his village for the funeral. His grandfather had a large farm outside the town. We had visited it the first summer after we got married, and I had loved it. Horses, pigs, dogs, and endless fields. Right after burying his grandfather, we learned that Mark, his grandfather's only grandson, had inherited the farm. Mark's father had passed away in a car accident 3 years before he got married, so the inheritance went to Mark. We made a decision. Instead of living an ordinary life and working for others until the end of our days, we decided to move to my husband's grandfather Michael's farm. We would take over his grandfather's work. His grandfather had horses and pigs. About a week later, all our paperwork was ready, and we settled on the farm. However, before his grandfather died, all the pigs had died. Only 6 horses remained on the huge farm. There was also his best friend, Rocky. Rocky was a very old dog, but he was also a very loyal and protective friend. My wife and I decided to sell a few of the expensive foals and buy as many pigs as we could for the pigsty. With the money we had, we bought a pickup truck instead of a car. Everything was going well until one night when we heard strange noises. There were many stories about this place, about people who had lived here centuries ago and were buried with their gold. Therefore, there were many ridiculous stories circulating about spirits being there. But Grandfather Michael had been here for years and had never had any problems. One night, we heard strange noises coming from the barn. I woke Mark up and we went outside to check on the noises coming from the barn. We had my grandfather's old rifle and a flashlight with us. When we got to the barn, we saw a pig standing in the middle. But all the pigs on the farm were dead, so this was impossible. The pig stood where it was and looked at us. I was quite scared, while Mark was trying to scare the pig away. Then, after a sound like the wind, the pig quickly escaped through the back door of the barn. We returned home very scared. I said it could be someone else's pig. Mark said, "There are no other farms within a 15-mile radius, so it can't be someone else's pig. Maybe one of my grandfather's pigs escaped." That was our guess, and we went to sleep. We woke up in the morning, took care of business in town, and met with the person who was going to buy our colt. We sold our colt. But since there were still things to fix in the barn, we didn't rush to get the pig. When we returned home that evening, our friend Rocky, who never left the house for a second, was nowhere to be found. We thought he had gone for a walk in the woods and would return around midnight. While we were eating dinner at home, we started to hear noises from the garden. We went outside to look. Rocky must have returned, but there was a wolf standing at the bottom of the garden fence. Mark immediately grabbed his rifle and shot the wolf. The wolf disappeared instantly. Could it have attacked Rocky? Our minds were on Rocky, but it was too dark that night to go looking for him. That night, everything started to change. Around 3 in the morning, our horses suddenly started bellowing like crazy. We woke up, grabbed our flashlights, and ran outside to check on the horses. There were dozens of pigs and wolves around. Wolves and pigs, side by side, dozens of them. This didn't seem normal to me at all. and I was very scared. I yelled at Mark, "Please call someone. Let's get out of here," I yelled. Mark pulled me inside and locked the door. We both started to wonder if the creatures outside were really animals. Dozens of wolves and pigs together was an impossible sight. Were they still there? Mark opened the door slightly and looked out into the yard. Our horses had stopped making noise. The area was very quiet and no one was left. Was this nightmare over? Leaning against the door, exhausted from fear, we fell asleep on the threshold. When we woke up in the morning, all the horses in our barn were dead. But there were no bite marks, no tracks, nothing. They had all died overnight, without any apparent harm. For about a week, everything seemed fine on the farm. There were no problems, but we still couldn't understand why our horses had died. Our renovation work was complete. Our barn was now ready for the pigs. We ate our dinner, and I took a shower. We were leaving at midnight. The farm where we were getting the pigs was quite far from where we were. While showering, I heard noises inside and got scared. I rinsed my eyes and called out, "Mark," but Mark didn't answer. When I grabbed a towel and went to the living room, I experienced the shock of my life. Mark wasn't home, and there was a shadow standing right in front of me. And there was a wolf beside it. I screamed and ran to the front door. When I opened it, the area was filled with wolves and pigs, dozens of stray animals again. No matter how much I yelled, Mark wasn't there. I jumped into our truck and started the engine. As we were leaving the farm, Mark jumped in front of me at the farm gate. "Mark, where are you going, Sarah? I'm calling you. Why are you running away?" Mark hadn't seen anything, hadn't heard anything. He was chopping wood for the fireplace. He brought me home, and I told Mark what had happened. Mark said we wouldn't be taking the pigs and that he would sell the farm soon. I didn't want that. It was his grandfather's legacy, but I didn't want to live there. We sold the farm for a very reasonable price. We don't know what the family that bought it is doing now, but the impact of what we went through is still with us. I still can't sleep at night. I can't even look at pigs or horses. We've now returned to our life in the city, and Mark has returned to accounting. I'm trying to open my own restaurant,